Hi, friends. This is Jim Wortham, former writer, former poet, former counselor, former psychologist, and it's 10:47 approximately, and it's November the 23rd exactly, and it's the year 2024, and I was not going to do this. I did one earlier. This is for young folks, specifically young folks. The one earlier was for older folks, the one before this. It doesn't matter, except the content is going to be more romantic on this one. Oh, romance. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. I'll be reading from part of this book, Loving You, and another one called Touching You, Touching Me. We're going to, Touching You, Touching Me was really done bad. Bad printer, artist not so good. Even at this, sold several thousand copies quickly. Let me see what it says here. It was published 1974. I'm reading from the first edition. When I write happy poems when love is over. I write sad poems when love is neither now or over. I rearrange my poems. When I'm tired of rearranging my poems, I get on my knees and I pray for love. For everyone who is waiting for love to happen, I sometimes find it helpful to sleep until I didn't do my hair too good today. Until the pain of no one being there is over. And if that takes too long, I'll comb my hair, put on my clothes, and walk out of the room and just let love happen. Well, a young girl sits beneath a tree tracing a design into the dirt with her small finger. She looks into the sky, then across the fields, and back into the sky again, thinking about a soldier she had been waiting for until today. Well, if lovers could love without analyzing what each other means with each word or action, if lovers could love without asking about the past or future, then love could be. Can you believe that at one time in my life I was young and thought thoughts like this? I mean, this is blowing my mind reading these. I saw you and you saw me. You even smiled and you said hi. I'm adjusting my Dell computer. It was a time when I wished I had come into the store by myself. Oh Lordy, I was with somebody when I walked into that store. I feel this one. It wouldn't have been nice to leave the girl I was with for you. And I'm concerned about her feelings, even if it hurts my feelings. Anyhow, whoever you are, I think I should have loved you. I could have loved you if given the right place and time. Now you tell me if that hadn't happened to you. Amen. I will take your hand, I will stand by you, and you will become all that you were created to be. Well, let's skip a few pages. I remember kissing a girl. I guess you do too. I remember kissing a girl when she put her hands over her eyes and said, "Guess who?" I knew who she was. I kissed her because she was pretty. Once, if this had happened, I would have tried to figure what I said or what I did wrong. And that's okay if you enjoy going around in circles. But after a while, circles become boring and you get nowhere except where you began. So I've learned to let the past take care of itself, and in the meantime I'll enjoy now. Daggone, this stuff's so good I want to republish it in new books with fancy covers. This stuff's strong. Now that I'm alone, what happened between when love began and now? I know you change and I change, but why? And why so fast? And why so soon? Yesterday was good. I had no reason to question today. Perhaps I should have. I didn't know loving you could be so much fun. I did not know not loving you could be so bad. Maybe you'll come back. Maybe you won't. What will I do if you don't? The nights are getting longer and colder. This afternoon, while driving in my car, I turned to say something to you, but you weren't there. The first touch of a warm hand on my hand is beautiful. The last touch, and knowing it's going to be the last touch, is tragic, but always happens. There is a hope in everyone, I think, that says that it really doesn't have to be that way. Until then, until that time and place, let me hold your hand. The love now is worth the hurt later. I'm being blown away from something I wrote in 1974. You invaded my life with love, concern, and touch. I need you. This morning I asked God for a happy day, and you came running to me. Yesterday I called out to you, but you were silent. I pretended it didn't matter. Today I smiled as you walked past. Then the cold wind slapped me in the face. Tomorrow I will find it hard to look in your direction. Be careful. not to rearrange me into your idea of a perfect person. I have traits that you don't like, I know, but what you consider bad others might like. Allow me to remain the person that I am. Allow me to enter your world. We can let our eyes meet and laugh together. We can let our hands touch with warmth. We can bring out our lives together and dream, hope, care, wish, plan, and love. Let's invade each other's world and make them into one. Page 25. We're stopping. I think the book's 64 pages. We've gone too far. We got too much to think about with what I read. And I tell you what, I'm thinking about republishing this book. There's thoughts in this book that's not in any other book. That's why it ran through 7 printings. You got that right. I got it right. 7 printings. And why did I stop having it reprinted? Selling over the world in English-speaking countries. Canada, England, Australia, of course here. Letters coming in everywhere. Invitations to speak, to give poetry readings, to do book signings at bookstores. Now, why did I quit? Because I came out with a few other books too. And after the Vietnam War, the sales of all my poetry books started sliding, and the reason I was given was girls were sending my books to their lovers that were in war. Okay, that makes sense. They wanted to share the love from the books to their lover. And then the second thing is, as book sales slid on all the books I had, that this was a top seller. And we'll get back, and I'll finish reading this to you maybe tomorrow and the next day. But as sales dropped, work became a necessity. And then I continued with a few more books, including the last book I wrote until recently. Last book was titled, how can you believe this? I can't remember this so easy. It was a great title. But anyhow, it was a hardback. It sold out immediately, and I never had it reprinted. I will say that was 1978. 4 years ago, approximately, I decided to compile some of the poems from all the books and put them into 4 other books. I'll show you the 4 other books if I have them handy. Oh, by the way, This is the first edition of Touching You, Touching Me. This is the 7th edition of Touching You, Touching Me. I don't want to brag, but this book's so better than anything I ever wrote. Recently, I'll just show you 3 covers. The Autumn of Love, the Winter of Love. Isn't that a beautiful picture? And then, well, we don't want to show you the covers of two of the same books, so we'll just stop there. Now, I tell you what, this was not about trying to sell books. I don't need to sell books. I need to start writing again. I need to put some of the books back in print again. I need to find a way to expose it, and perhaps one of the best ways to expose my poetry is to get some nice music in the background, get on YouTube, and read my poetry and see what you think about it. And if you like my stuff, you can tell me. If you think it's pretty bad, you can tell me. If you want to see some of the stuff I've written that's not published, you can go to jimwortham.wordpress.com. I think it's got over 200 poems there that's not published. Most of them fair to bad poems. But there's some that are treasures. The Drunk at the Silverback Hotel. I don't know if you go to WordPress and look me up, and if you forget what I just said, you could probably just put my name in, or you could probably put can't even think what I registered at, but you'll find it. If you can't, let me know. The Drunk at the Silverback Hotel. Probably is the best thing I've ever written. I sent it to another very well-known poet. He said, "Jim, this is a special poem." It's special for many reasons. It's about me being in Canada. It's about a famous writer who was also a famous singer. And it's about that person, that singer, before he died, giving me a ticket to his concert, not knowing who I was. But I really think he did. And you'll see why in that poem. But he paid for my dinner. And the reason I call that poem the Drunk at the Silverback Hotel is because at that time the Silverback Hotel was one of the best places. I think Hemingway and a bunch of other famous writers halfway lived there. And this guy that I call a drunk was just sitting there in the bar's on the right when you walk in. I walk into the bar, I see this guy with a cane, hat on. Oh, this is beautiful. I thought, he can't afford his food. I sit down and I say, can you use some company? He says, yes. And as we talked, I didn't know he was a writer. I didn't know he was a poet. I did not know he's going to give a concert the next day. I didn't know this. He had a cane and he had a hat. And I didn't even ask his name. I didn't tell him my name. We just talked. I said, I'm going to buy you some whatever you want to drink and whatever you like to eat. I said, it's on me. I said, I want to get to know you. We talked, and he says after an hour, you remind me of a poet I used to read in I think it was Montreal, Canada. I'm not sure if that's the town. I think it's Montreal. He said, I look forward to reading his poetry. Every time I went into the bookstore, and he had two homes, one in, I'm not sure if it's New York or Los Angeles. I'm thinking he couldn't have had both houses. I think he lived in New York because that's where the record studios were. But I think he made records in Los Angeles too. But that doesn't matter. What matters is I was in Louisville, Kentucky at the Paradise. Was it the Paradise Theater? And I had planned to stay at that motel so I could hear this real famous singer that I had been listening to since 1967. This old man sitting across from me, we talked about things. He was very much into talking about other people's songs. He liked Janis Joplin real well. He liked Bob Dylan very, very well. Well, I did too. Not so much Janis Joplin as much as Bob Dylan. I had all of his songs. I had all of his songs memorized. I paid to learn how to play guitar. All this stuff when I was younger. So anyhow, we're sitting here talking about, how we learned to play, and he learned to play 3 or 4 chords from someone from another country who ended up, I really believe the guy that taught him the chords and everything on his guitar ended up committing suicide. Now, maybe that's why he had, well, I don't want to, I need to go on with the story. We get done talking, and I'm going to pay for the bill. And I asked for the waitress to come over and bring the bill, and he went like this. Put his hand up. I thought, what's going on? Well, I think they knew I'm there. They brought him the bill. not me, him. I said, well, look, that wine. I told you buy the best wine you wanted to drink, or whatever drink you wanted, and to buy anything you wanted to eat, and I was going to pay for it. He says to me, I've got this. He says, I want you to stay a couple more minutes when we walk out. And so he goes to a consigneur. Is that how you call it, consigneur? A person that takes care of things for well-to-do people. And about 10 minutes later, he comes back and gives me an envelope. I open the envelope up, and it says, "Thanks for the warm visit. You sound like the poet I read in Montreal." Nothing else about that. My books happen to have been selling in Canada and Montreal. And I thought, I wonder if he knew who I am. But I didn't know who he was until I finished the letter. And the letter said, "I'm giving you a ticket, 2 tickets. One for you and one for someone you want to bring to my concert at the Palace Theater tomorrow." Oh, he told me not to open the envelope till he left Silverback Hotel. So I looked at that, and I knew it instantly. He knew me by my writing. I knew him by his tickets and the fact I had already planned to go to his concert at the Palace Theater in Louisville the next day, and that is exactly why I was staying at the Silverback Hotel that night. And I think it's called The Drunk at the Silverback Hotel. I never change its name. It could be a poem in a booklet by itself. I share that because you tune in to hear something entertaining, something that possibly actually happened. And actually, if you've made it this far with the way I look and the way I present, I want to thank you, and I want to invite you to please subscribe and like it, because now I've got over 200 subscribers. I'm shooting toward 300. May God bless you. May God prosper you. May God give you what you want in life. And thank you for listening. I appreciate it.